Welcome to our channel, AI Horizons. Today, we're exploring a fascinating hypothetical scenario. What would the world be like if men didn't exist? It's a question that's both thought-provoking and a little bit scary, but it's one that we wanted to delve into with the help of our artificial intelligence friend. Join us as we explore a world where women are the only ones who exist and see what kind of challenges and successes they might encounter. Here we go. It was the year 2067, and the world was a very different place. In the years leading up to this point, something strange had happened to the human population. For some unknown reason, only women were being born. At first, people were worried that humanity was going to go extinct. But as the years went by, it became clear that women were just as capable of carrying on the human race as men had been. As the all-female population grew and flourished, the world began to adapt to this new reality. Women took on roles that had previously been dominated by men, and they excelled in fields that had once been considered off-limits to their gender. Science, technology, and politics were all fields that women now dominated, and the world was a better place for it. One of the most significant changes that occurred as a result of this shift was in the way that women approached work and career. Without the pressure of trying to prove themselves in a male-dominated world, women were free to pursue their passions and follow their dreams. This led to a proliferation of female-led startups and businesses, and the economy flourished as a result. But the lack of men in the world also presented some challenges. The most pressing of these was the issue of reproduction. Without men, women had to find a new way to conceive and give birth to children. Some turned to artificial insemination and in vitro fertilization, while others carried and gave birth to genetically engineered children created using DNA from female donors. These solutions were expensive and not always accessible, and they sparked significant ethical debates. Another issue was the physical differences between the sexes. Women, on average, were not as physically strong as men, and this presented challenges in certain fields such as construction or manufacturing. To overcome this, women had to find new ways to compensate for their physical limitations, such as using technology or developing new techniques to perform tasks more efficiently. Despite these challenges, the women of this world were determined to make the most of their circumstances. They were intelligent and resourceful, and they were able to build a society that was just as successful and thriving as any other. But not everyone was happy with the way things were. There were still pockets of resistance, mostly made up of older men who couldn't accept the fact that women were now in charge. These men formed secret societies and plotted to bring down the women who were running the world. One such society was called the Brotherhood of the Patriarch, and it was led by a man named William Thompson. Thompson was a wealthy businessman who had always resented the fact that women were now in charge, and he was determined to do whatever it took to bring them down. To this end, Thompson and his followers began to hatch a plan. They knew that the key to taking down the all-female government was to infiltrate it from within. So, they set about recruiting women who were willing to betray their own gender for the promise of power and wealth. One such woman was named Samantha. Samantha had always felt overshadowed by the more successful women around her, and she saw the Brotherhood as a way to finally make a name for herself. She agreed to join their ranks and began working towards their goal of bringing down the government. But as she worked with the Brotherhood, Samantha began to have second thoughts. She had always believed in equality and fairness, and she started to realize that the Brotherhood's actions were anything but. She began to have doubts about whether she wanted to be a part of their plans, but she was too far in to back out now. In the end, Samantha made the difficult decision to go against the Brotherhood and do what she knew was right. She went to the authorities and told them everything she knew about the group's plans. Thanks to her bravery, the Brotherhood was disbanded and its members were brought to justice. Samantha, meanwhile, became a hero and was hailed as a champion of women's rights. And so, the world continued on, with women at the forefront of every field and leading the way towards a brighter future. It was a world that was far from perfect, but it was a world that was filled with hope, possibility, and the knowledge that anything was possible if women were given the chance to shine. The end.